Hamlet's on the other team. Good news is Tim's pretty terrible this game, so that's the truth.
Very proud. They played a very sharp, very on top of their game Eclipse today, and really excelled in nailing, unfortunately, 07. When they gave him that little bit of breathing room, he took it.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the Community WGLNA show. The regular season is over. Ted is here. I'm here. Playoffs were on Thursday, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
And Tuesday was the last match day.
Yeah.
And that held some pretty big, or possibly big changes to the roster as we see it right now. Roster, I mean standings. Now, as we went into Tuesday night, you had a very interesting lead at the time held by Dare Rising. If Eclipse lost on Tuesday night to 07, in overtime match, in normal match, Dare Rising would be the team automatically advancing to the Burbank finals on April 8th. Now, that's incredibly important. It also had the last match of J Smooth as he retired.
Yeah.
Now, he's retiring for good, guys. He's not coming back for the third time. Guy, he's one of the last of what I would call the old breed. And by old breed, I mean these guys have been around since the beginning. Now, in my opinion, his legacy would be a team that excelled, was normally top of the table for the most part, and even if they weren't, they were competitive. This past season was just not their season. They couldn't find the right page, but they didn't melt down either. This is a team that's he's been able to run a team that's been a positive environment, one of the classiest teams and classiest guys around. And I'm not just saying that because I know him and I met him personally, because that's what he's given to the WGLNA, a team that everyone can look at and say, you know, those guys stand above the rest in their attitudes and the way they handle their business. Would you concur, Tim?
I definitely concur. J Smooth is one of the things I'll miss is the constant jovial character who always has a joke to make.
He changed the way face-offs were done. I mean, he allowed for people like Laps to have a foil to play with. Now Meadowhawk's taking up the gauntlet like no one else has. No one else out there can do what Meadow does. And J Smooth retiring means someone else better step up their game. I think Aggressor or Pompous could step up their game. But they're both pretty young, and we have to see what happens next season. But the other big news, and this got kind of glazed over, and I know for a fact that J Smooth would want this mentioned, is Flack and Pub Whisperer retiring as well. Both legends in their own right.
Pub Whisperer, Flack, both. They've been around forever.
Conducive to that very attitude that I mentioned about Classy standing up, not being about the team, not necessarily being about individuals. We've seen a lot of individuals come and go in the WGLNA. I'm not saying that Simple Tankers didn't have to deal with some folks like that over time, but most importantly, it's just they raise the bar of everyone else in the way they deal with fans, the way they interact. I know for a fact Simple Tank Rivals was a part of both the Tanking for the Troops and the Torpedoes for Troops events to support the charity of Operation Supply Drop that both Tim and I are pretty close with. And they were amazing. A lot of WGLNA teams were, but J Smooth did it literally on a drop of a hat, got guys together and did an amazing job for it. So, but they still have one more match to play, and they're playing against a team. If you saw the face-off with Rude, you saw the level of respect Rude has, and everyone else in the league has for J Smooth. Top Tier is going to play their game.
Yep.
You knew Top Tier was going to play, and they're playing to win. At the same time, it's almost like I want to beat you, but I don't want to be the last match that you play that you're beaten, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, J Smooth wouldn't want that. He'd want you to come with everything you got, and they did. There was an ace on the second match of Himmelsdorf, where I'll say this: Rival took 6 Mouses and a KV5.
Yep.
And even better, they attacked with it, and they were on defense. And let's put it this way: the speed of Top Tier was too much. They killed them all. But you had a Mouse, a Yagi 100 driven by Pompous, which is bad news for you if you're getting shot at. The 1390 by Rude Awakening. Ex-Soldier and a 113, a 50B, and 2 more Mouses. So 3 Mouses versus 6. But it didn't matter. It was a strong play by Top Tier. It was wasn't great. And then you had Ghost Town the next map. You had a successful cap win by Top Tier in the end. That was fairly close. The second map on Ghost Town also pretty close. I don't think Top Tier are bringing their big strategies out for this match. It was more like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, have fun, guys. And the last match was on Prokhorovka. This league will not be the same. I've said this in the past because Tim and I have been doing this for 3 seasons now. When a team goes, it hurts because they've left a legacy and a history, and not everyone's going to know these histories that we've been fortunate enough to see evolve in front of us. The key thing, I think, is we need the teams that are coming in now to step it up. We have great teams. Teams like Aquatic M6 here are developing their own legacy, and I wish all the best because but when we're looking at all these different teams that are coming up now, they're going to be the legacy that other people will remember. The new fans coming into WGLNA, and there are new ones. Trust me, I've talked with a bunch of them in the past couple of weeks. But it was a 5-0 sweep as we expected. The end of Jay Smooth and WGLNA. Hope he comes back even just to visit us. Hopefully he's at Burbank.
Who knows? We might have him
time,
on the show.
Oh God, yes, we would love to have him on the show. Jay Smooth, if you watch this, you are welcome whenever you want. We've tossed out a few anytime you want to come on to a few people. Meadow being one of them, Starshield being one of them, and we want to make sure that you're welcome whenever you want to come on the show. We're proud to have you, and the community would love to talk with you just about a little bit about the past and what's happened, and all that rival Simple Tankers has given us. We'd love to talk to you. That being said, we had another match. This match was crucial from the fact that if Eclipse didn't win this match versus 07, they would be forced to play. They would drop positions and end up having to play Aquatic M60s in the playoffs. They have to play a playoff match against an incredibly good team and a team that has proven they can push them to the limits and defeat them in past seasons. Okay, so that sets the story. And so we ended up going into the first match of the night on a map that statistically, if you saw that the first map that was be played would be Himmelsdorf, 07 versus Eclipse, who would you give that to?
I'd give that to Eclipse right away.
2-0, yep. Right? For Eclipse. Okay. No.
What?
What we had is we had a split. Right off the bat, Eclipse did a good job. They had a couple moments that kind of, for me, set up what 07 was thinking about. And it was an Arclet strat, I will say that. Because you had a 113, a mouse type heavy, 2 more mouses, a type 4 heavy, and a Batchat 25T on the side of 07. On the other side, you had 3 mouses, a type 5 heavy. T1 Diabetic went to the T95, which I think had 1 hit for 784 and before it died. But it was the way that 07 was setting up on the attack was interesting. If you have time, go back and watch that match day because it's worth watching how Eclipse set it up. I think their setup and trying a new strat was the only reason they pulled this one out because 07 was definitely firing on all cylinders. They had 2 guys over 2,000 damage. It was a good try, but it didn't happen. The second match, though, was 07 on defense, and they wiped them out. Type 5 heavy, IS-7, E3, Yagi 100, 250B, a mouse, and a 1390. And they were able to swing back and forth on defense and cut them off before they surrounded them and took them down. Awesome play by 07. So 1-1 going into Runeberg, you think Eclipse, right? You know, this is Eclipse's match to win. They swept both. They even got an ace on the second one. But there was a couple moments. Rocks on the end could not get the reset in a Type 4 Heavy because it's a Type 4 Heavy. It is not built for speed. It's a Tier 9 option on the top 5 Heavy. And this is close to working, guys. There were 2 Type 4 Heavies out there. It's not a bad strat idea. Fosta in the Type 4 Heavy had 4,200 damage, over 4,200 damage. That's impressive. So it could be a functional strat for somebody else down the line. They didn't have the speed to reset. That's the truth of it. We went to the second match in Rimburg was the ace we discussed. Then we went to Muravanka, at which point you had the defenders. It was, I don't know what exactly Arclit was trying to set up for, but it didn't work because they had, there's when you're watching, sometimes these strats just don't work and it falls apart and team gets taken. That's what happened here. So that led to the score being, if you're looking at it, counting how much, 4-1. And everyone decided this is when everyone was like, "We're done." That's
Yep.
nice. Good job. Pat him on the back. This will, good job. Good luck with that. You forget. '07 has a history. I've been saying this a lot lately in the articles I've been writing and saying out loud on the show. Is '07 has a history of being really tough to put away and liking overtime matches.
Yeah, buddy.
They suddenly gather themselves. They grab their testicular fortitude, and I'm not joking. They hold on and they fight like hell. And I mean this is a complete compliment to the way Foster and the way the team reacts. And Ark probably bought into this just as well. Miravank on defense, they were able to hold off a very aggressive team, but they cut them to pieces. If you look at the damage done
Yeah, it's enormous.
by both sides,
It's crazy.
it's quick, it's done, but look across the whole 6 major players of '07. Everyone averaged roughly, the lowest main player was Warbanner with 1,200. Everyone else was 1,700 with the next lowest, and everyone else was above 2,000. They played smart. They played quick. There were 2 zeros on the other side for Eclipse. That is bad when your E4 gets 0 damage.
Let me put it this way: when you kill T1 Diabetic and Drock, both with 0 damage, yeah, you're done.
You're in a very good place. And let me bring this up real quick. Drock has been my come off the bench hero of the season. We'll call it 8th man because this is a 7-man. He's been my 8th man of the season because since he's come on, and as great as Tigers has been doing an awesome job too, but Drock has showed up at the right places at the right time all the way since last season in the finals. I mean, he's just been incredibly impressive. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Yeah.
I mean,
Drock, he's a highly underestimated player.
Incredibly skilled at the same time, and he was riding the bench earlier, and to suddenly have to come on and play at the level he has is incredibly impressive to us as fans, as well as to just watch him next time. If you want a player to watch in the future, keep an eye on Drock. He's a good one to watch in relationship to that. But so suddenly it was 4-2, and if you watch the matches, the announcers sit up a bit frustrated. This wasn't going to be the 5-1 thing, and they're like, "Here we go," and everyone rubbed their hands a bit because this was a fun matchup. It's on Prokhorovka. Fosta was brilliant. He was in the bat chat 25T. You can tell he's not calling anymore because his points are higher. He's a much more aggressive player because he doesn't have to think across the whole field in a strategical sense. He can work tactically and deal with the problems that are directly in front of him. Tigers, on the other hand, has been fantastic for their calling, as I understand it. So you had a pretty interesting battle the way that they ran their strats. Arklet and the 40-42 had 2,700 points of damage. Awesome. Just strong play.
That's
yeah. So it's suddenly 4-3 after they won this match. And let's look at the rosters that '07 decided to play. They went with a Bat Chat 25T, 3 of them. Okay, 3 Bat Chats, Proc, that makes sense, right?
Oh, they went 4.
Yep, sorry, they went 4. And then they went 2 Sturves.
Oh my.
And an Object 261.
Oh my.
It's a tier 10. Object 261 can be very effective as a tier 10 arty, but with 2 Sturves? And at one point there was what looked like a YOLO over the middle, and it was Christmas for Eclipse when they pushed over the middle of train tracks. So Eclipse won. Eclipse secured 2nd place. They're not complaining on how the match went.
I doubt anybody was complaining about that. Yeah.
No, Tigers, Deckard, Zam, T1 Diabetic, Drock, No Nick, led a photo finish, as well as all the other guys from Team Eclipse. They got 2nd place, which means they get the bye to Burbank. And we're going to break right now, real quick, to talk about standings at the end of the season. So, Tim, where was you at the end of the season, regular season?
At the end of the regular season, oh my god, I think it was. Was it 120?
And where were you at the end of the season?
110.
Yep. So congratulations very much to Tim. Tim had the highest score of our team here because we really don't look at it as a competition between us, more for both of us beating you. So luckily, Tim did. I did not. I was back. I think I'm 160 something. I had a couple days where I literally did not play people, and that's fine. That was my error, and I can live with it. But so I lost our steak, our Philly cheesesteak challenge to Ute, and that doesn't seem too much. Ute's a good guy, and I'm looking forward to lunch with him. At the same time, we moved into the playoff matches, which were on Thursday. And why this is relevant is you and I joked that let's do our fantasy rosters, and whoever wins gets fries. So I was playing for fries, not pride. I was playing for fries.
I'll play for
And,
fries,
a little
man.
bit of pride
I'll play
too.
for fries. That's good.
Yep.
Cheese fries.
And,
Cheese fries is the best.
Oh, trust me, this Philly cheesesteak place makes some really good chili cheese fries.
Oh man.
Now
I'm hungry.
Besides the point, yes. So we get into the our playoff, and it was Dare versus 07, with Dare expected to be the winner. But the second match is pretty fascinating in my opinion because Aquatic M60 took off on top tier. They split the season, and that held some interesting dynamics. Now, to let people know too, 07 split with Dare earlier in the season too. The second or first night of the season, 07 won. Now, in disclosure, that was when 07 still had Ledif playing for them.
Right.
And because of that, it's, that's a bit missing a star player like Ledif's going to hurt any team. Let's just be honest. So 07 went into this match as perceived as the underdogs against Dare. The first map on the matches was Steps. Statistically speaking, Tim, who would you pick between Dare and 07?
Oops.
I would to pick Dare too. But what they didn't see is the brilliance. Okay, two amazing things happened here. First off, Nationwide missed a boost early.
Oh,
Okay.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, and because he didn't boost in the north, there's a point where he wasn't in the bush, and it was Fosta and the Oods. He wasn't in a bush. He was just behind the bush, and he was just behind a little bit of a defilade, which is a bump, which you can't see over. Now, we've seen other people play IS-7s, but their turret sticks out, right? So because their turret sticks out, they're easy to see its spot. If you look at the stats, Fosta ended up with 45.8 fantasy points and 0 damage, which means he got all his points from spotting. And because they were spotted almost from the minute they got around that small hill next to the train train station, it's very hard to set up for your cap because you've got 150 meters to cap.
Yeah.
Tim?
Yep. That's roughly. I think it's 160, but yeah.
Exactly, because you also had a bat chat boosted up, able to firecraft down into that, so it made a very rough time of it. And Dare struggled and struggled. They finally got Nationwide up there, and that's when Foster was taken down, but it was too late. The information was made available. The damage was done. Even though Nationwide did get 3,000 damage, it wasn't enough. You saw great team play, fantastic team play across the board for 07. They took a 1-0 win. And if you listen to the casters, they're like, oh, look, that one strat is what won it for them. Awesome job. There's one victory. That's probably going to be a roll from here on out. We entered in the second battle.
Which, by the way, that spotting damage, that was 3,800 spotting damage. That's a lot.
Just a little bit. A scoosh. Actually, to anyone who watches Kung Fu Panda, that was more of a skadoosh as they finished off Dare Rising on that. Dude, don't ask me. I've had some interesting analogies used lately for comebacks. Now, you had Dare on Steps on the defense against 07 as an attackers. Try wrapping your mind on this. There's a cap on. You have 3 bat chats left. Your odds of resetting, no matter where you are on the map, is pretty good. I mean, you may lose a bat chat getting in or getting the reset. No. 07 played this precisely. I think that's a very good word for it. They were able to cover up multiple cap and finish them off efficiently, quickly. They got a cap on the attack, and the enemy had 3 bat chats left. That means that Dare came apart a little bit. They weren't able to get there. They might have been on the reload. There's a lot of different issues that might have come up for them, but this was a precise play by 07. This was as precise as you can play the map Steps because it's a incredibly big map. So 2-0 for 07. Folks in chat started going, what? Cassier started going, Randall and James started going, really? And the next match came to Mimes. I really think any match but Mimes would have favored 07 at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because they immediately got swept and aced by Dare when they with 07 on the attack. 07 brought 3 Mouses, which is where they're going if they bring 3 Mouses most of the time.
Yeah.
Which the same with if you bring T95s. But it was strong play by Dare. They deserve all the credit in the world in the victory. And then on defense, it was incredibly close. There were only 2 tanks left. There's Jill and Milo Putin. And anytime Milo Putin's the last guy left, you got a seatbelt on. He's amazing to watch. I can't. There is a reason he was last season's MVP. There is a reason for that. Just really strong player and good play in that. So that made it 2-2. I think that might have been the point where 07 began to struggle. And I'm not knocking them in the least, but to be up 2-0 and had that level of positivity going on and then stopped cold, that could play with your mind.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I mean, Tim, you've had that happen to you. We both had that happen to you in the past. And getting shut down like that, what does it do to you mentally? Just in a pub game, let alone a pro game.
You look at the situation and you try to figure out. You overanalyze to try to figure out what's the problem. You try to fix the problem, which is most likely not the problem, and you leave your real problem or problems open again, and you just go downhill from there. It's a really slippery slope.
And I think sometimes there's not a problem. They just had a better game
Yes.
than you. And you're suddenly looking, and the key thing is, and I've seen this in a lot of sports as well as esports, you start looking for problems to fix.
Because there
that
must
doesn't
be a
work.
problem, right?
Yep. And you lose positivity in your attitude and team play. And why is positivity important? If you're in a platoon with someone, and this is for new players, and I know some of you guys are new out there who watch our show, if you're in a platoon with someone and you're still figuring out how to play with them, if you don't trust them, you're not going to listen to them. And if you don't listen to them, you're going to be a few seconds off. Well, in this level, being a half second off is enough to get you crushed or cut to ribbons in a crossfire or have a mouse Goomba on top of you if you're not looking at the right time.
Or all of a sudden you get spotted and 3,800 damage comes flying out of nowhere.
Exactly. Or a team to fast cap you with heavies, which is what happened on Miravanka in Battle 5.
That was
Dare came in. It was brilliant play. Felix close. The whole team. Sorry. Chase, Putin, Durjol, everyone, that whole team. That was the correct call. 07 ran to the middle, which was smart in the beginning, but ended up getting a brawl with the autoloaders, while the Mouse and 215B and the T57 heavies rolled on cap down to 1-2 line. It was a smart move to do, and at the last second, literally right after the cap Swipple hit for the replay. So I was like, really? And that was it. It wasn't enough to reset, but it would have been had it been a half second earlier. So those half seconds are important. Swipple's one of the most experienced players in the league. Don't get me wrong. He did as fast as he could, and he probably committed. But at that point, it's now, instead of being 2-2, it's 3-2. On the defense, Dare got it because Miravanka's hard to win on the attack. It's
Very,
only
very hard,
20-some-odd %. And if you know what you're doing, which Dare does, again, experience. Aggressor has tons of experience, but Maktab Putin, having him on your team is a giant boon. The guy's been a captain of a WGLNA team before. He's played in the grand finals before. He knows his shit, to put it bluntly. And that whole team is when they're humming, they're really humming. So suddenly it's 4-2. They go to Runeberg, and it was kind of already over.
Yeah.
It was a matter of the 07 that showed up for the 2 matches was no longer around.
Yeah.
And it hurts me because I'm a big fan of 07. I love their attitude. I love all their players. Again, we talk of classy. This is one of the classiest teams out there. They're aggressive when they need to be. They dealt with some difficulties in losing one of their better players, and they brought on. It was like they lost a really good catcher, and instead of grabbing a catcher, they brought on a pitcher. They changed the dynamics of their team, and I think if they would have had a few more weeks to keep working with Arclit, I think they could have had a much better chance in this match. I think getting him on when they didn't allow him to truly sync up with them as much as they could. I mean, does that sound like a logical argument?
It sounds like a logical argument. Yeah. It's a great sports analogy too.
That being said, though, given 3 more weeks, Dare might have been just that much more dangerous. So
never know.
It's one of those give and take things. So that put Dare into the playoffs. That put Dare into the live final. And as it stood right now, before we got to the top tier versus Aquatic M60s, the way this could have played out is if Aquatic M60s wins, then Aquatic M60s would be playing Elevate in the first round because they would come in as the 4th seed, and you'd have Dare playing against Eclipse. It's just the way it was. Now, at this point, with Dare winning, that locked in whoever got this top tier Aquatic M60s, whoever won this match was going to have to face Elevate. If 07 had won, things would have gotten complicated. Trust me. Because in 07 would have had to play Elevate, and it would have, yeah. But so top tier versus Aquatic M60s. There's a lot of folks out there, our own crafter, who was a good friend of ours, and other folks who picked Aquatic M60s to win this based on how well they had played in some matches. I always called it for top tier primarily, and someone asked me why didn't I share that, and I said, well, a lot of reasons. One, I'm a broadcast admin. I'm actually in the matches, setting up the rooms and everything like that. And for that, when I have that hat on, I'm a fan of both teams, so I'll always be there. But afterwards, I'll tell you what I thought. So that's why I wasn't out saying I think top tier is going to win it, because I have to be the admin, the ref, and and not have a bias at that point. So top tier, I did pick them, and my point was this: they're a team that, even if Aquatic M60s is playing their very best, I felt that if top tier is playing their very best, they were better. And boy, guys, it's rare that I can honestly say both teams brought everything they possibly had, and then the kitchen sink, and then the steps, and the dog. The level of play here, and Tim, because of Tim's schedule, he wasn't able to see all the matches for Thursday night. Tim, go back and watch this one, please, and you'll know what I'm saying. And when we come back and do our finals, I'll ask Tim's thoughts. Precision, aggression, skill, luck, everything you consider that's in a good WGLNA match, we saw here. It laid out in exquisite detail. Toughness, resiliency. On Himmelsdorf, you had Aquatic M60s take the lead, just because I thought there were some shifting errors on top tier side. But as much as I can say there were some errors unable to rotate quickly enough, Aquatic M60s took full advantage. Objects 263, not one you'd say would do a lot of damage. Felix and it got 3,300 damage.
That's a lot of damage in a 263.
Yep. And Mr. Man and a Mouse and Field My Potato also played incredibly well. The whole side played well. Bales was the only one who was quote-unquote last place as far as fantasy points goes. He still got 2,200 damage. And as much as fantasy can be used as a scale, it doesn't dictate who wins or loses.
Yes.
You can sometimes read it that way, but on the other side, Rude got vaporized like within the first minute and a half. He went out to the rail yard
1390
on the and disappeared and got just annihilated. And top tier on defense, one would think that this would be their best chance. So Aquatic 1 went up 1-0 on the attack. So then, so top tier was on defense. So top tier switches to attack, and we had a reversal. We had some really smart play in timing, the way that they ran it, because you had Felix and Dark Ninja and two T95s. They are not quick, even with their boost. They're usable now with the speed boost, but they're not quick. Both of them got annihilated. Two T95s together barely did 2,100 damage. If you have two of those guys, you want to do 2K a piece, wouldn't you say, Tim? Before you go down, I mean, because I think that's 3 shots a piece and it didn't happen.
It's like getting the third. It's like getting that second clip off with a Bat Chat or a T57 heavy.
Exactly.
You want to get that second clip off, so you at least do your minimum punch. You want the minimum punch on a T95, I'd say, is that 3 shots.
3 shots, yeah. And that's going to happen faster, so that requires you to set up at the right place at the right time, which means top tier came in with a quick enough strategy. And again, I want to bring this to you. Rude Awakening in a 1390 did 949 points of damage, which means he got his points in spotting and capping. When they were pushing on the attack, he went to the train line, and I believe that's the 2 cap, and got right behind the house, and he had an E3 shooting at him. No, was it the E3? No, they had T95 shooting at him for a while. I don't care where you hide. A T95 shoots, and you got that tiny little building to hide behind. I would not have been as happy as he was. He got reset once or twice, but Rude Awakening stayed alive to be the vital cap points there. He was the bait, and it worked. Strong play by Pompous in E4, 4,000 damage. Just strong play all around. Everyone on that team except Delth, who got zapped in a 50B, which happens,
Yep.
and Rude Awakening, who did it by capping and spotting, got 3,000 plus damage. Ex-Soldier was rotating, was the tank that would show up to help end an engagement or a support an engagement. So just fun play, strong play, and supporting their Mouses. They all did over 3,000 damage. This is a good match to watch. So we're at 1-1, and we go to Ghost Town. Statistically, again, Aquatic M60s has a lead on this one. Okay, there's a moment, Tim, in this match, and that you should go back and check, and everyone should go back and check, where they were capping. Top Tier was capping in the center one, right? The building on Ghost Town. I know if you're new, you've not played it. It's designed for esports and tournaments only. But there's 4 ways to enter into it, and it's all straight. It's all symmetric, and there is a Type 5 driven by Mr. Man, and then there was a mouse by Feel My Potato that were right nearby, but they weren't completely isolated because their bat chats had swung over and were, I want to say, 1 or 2 grid squares over. So Rude Awakening called this dead on. He ran his bat chats out there, 2 bat chats, right after the Type 5 had fired. They ran him down, were able to put 2 more shots into the, so Type 5 is toast with only 981 points of damage, which I think was on a bat chat. And then immediately after that, as the mouse tried to Feel My Potato tried to turn his turret around, he got rushed by the 57s, I believe, or by one of the mouses. I can't exactly recall, but he was eliminated. And after that moment, it was a movement battle. They couldn't. There was no way to get the momentum back. To tell you how effective this was, it was an ace, not a single tank loss for Top Tier. That's saying something when you have mouses on the board and bat chats. This was one of the more brilliantly, when he called the attack right after Mr. Man fired, you could see the fingerprints of Rude all over it. And you can see the fingerprints of a team that's coordinated, that trusts his calls, and it's committed, because you don't go in that hard and that fast unless you know that you're going to succeed and you're not worrying about getting shot. This was Top Tier at some of its best right here. I think as a whole team, as a collective, was in this battle. So suddenly you have a 2-1 lead and we go into Top Tier on defense. They set up strong and they took them down. Aquatic M60s figured out different ways to try to counter. You did have some strong play from Dark Ninja and a Bat Chat and Mr. Man and Type 5 Heavy, but it just wasn't enough. And suddenly you're looking at, from being simply 2-1 down to 3-1 down. And Aquatic M60 could probably start to get worried. And even more so when we switched to Mirabanka and it's suddenly 4-1. Because of strong defense by Ex-Soldier, Rude, again Rude Awakening in the 1390 doing 1,500 damage, which is really good for essentially what's a scout vehicle. But Rude can make that thing sing. So 4-1 out of the attack. You'd expect that there's a good chance that Aquatic would win, right Tim?
Yeah.
Because this is based on percentages of maps. But the team that's been most successful in attacking this season, other than Elevate, is Top Tier. So you can't just scratch them out. However, Aquatic came back hard. They lost 1 tank. They called it right. Their shots were dead on, and they managed to defend successfully, killing them all. But sorry, folks. With that play, with that level of skill, you had a moment of, how do I phrase this? Declaration by Aquatic. They weren't going to go lightly here.
You're going to go down fighting, yeah.
Absolutely. And then we switched over to mines. Now, both teams are competent on mines. Both teams are good on mines. Top Tier had not played that much on mines, though, funny enough. So we went into this match. As defenders, Aquatic M60s were dying off. They're getting picked off, but they weren't fast enough in getting picked off. In the end, Delph just ran out of time in putting down the last 3 tanks. Aquatic spread out, did everything they needed at the right time to win. And suddenly you're looking at 4-3. Okay? That's not a small thing to look at. That's a pretty important moment. But put this aside. Battle 8 on Mines is one of my favorite battles I've seen this season. Individual battle, game, however you want to phrase it, where you ended up having a Top Tier had 2 tanks versus 4 against Aquatic M60s, including Mouses. and you're in bat chats. Sorry, a bat chat and a I think it was a yeah, I think they were both in bat chats at the very end. Muriel goes down, but the way that they pulled him in, that they got 2 kills to their 1, and suddenly it was a 1 and Feel My Tato and a mouse trying to catch up with a bat chat.
Good luck.
This was on the 2 cap.
Good luck.
Well, I would have said so too, but instead of running right around the hill and finding that island as fast as you possibly could, he hung left in one of those little buildings area. I don't know if he'd been spotted. I don't know the comms, but one of the I think Randall or James, one of them said he was too smart for himself. He thought he'd counter rotate, like the mouse would try to counter rotate and run right into him. I think the bat chest is too fast. I think it would, if he would have just kept the hammer down, there was a very good chance. I don't think he had line of sight on him, that he could have gotten at least over to the lighthouse on the island. There's no way a mouse is getting over there, and
No
I think
way.
there was a minute some left. And even if you do spot him, if you're in a bush, you're going to get time to move before that thing can see you. Regardless, Feel My Potato found him, nailed the shot. We can't forget that he got the shot to kill him. And I get goosebumps now. It was really brilliant. The last time we felt these sort of goosebumps, at least I did, was when Pompous took out Aquatic M60s again in the regular season on Ghost Town. Remember that last second one?
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
That absolute last second shot.
It was that level of play. So Feel My Potato just nailed it, forcing a tiebreak. Okay, guys. Remember I just said that was the most exciting match that I'd seen all season until Battle 9. There were 4 reversals in this match, which I mean there were 4 different HP reversals and what I feel would be called reversals of momentum. You had Top Tier seize the HP point early. Aquatic M60s take it back. Aquatic took it first. Top Tier took it back. Aquatic took it again when near the 8-9 line in that ditch. You know how teams have been hiding bat chats in there? Okay, well, Aquatic sent 3 bat chats with a S-Tank as Overwatch on the hill. Now, they took damage, but they dropped immediately 2 of the of Top Tier's bat chats. Took them completely out. Muriel and Fixer Reloaded, a.k.a. like Crutch Siguria. Suddenly, they're out. When you're looking at this and you're watching this, you're suddenly going, oh my, what's going on here? Rude Awakening and the RU-251 swing south all the way down to where the deployment area of Aquatic M60 is. He doesn't see anyone because Aquatic is so focusing on the right-hand side of the track, the east side of the track. And they did have an IS-7 in that area, but what that allowed Rude to do is he ran all the way up back into the hill. Things are tight. I want to say both teams were roughly around 3,000 K at this point. And he not only spots the S-Tank, he starts pumping rounds into it. We forget, as community analysts, we forget sometimes that as good as a strategist he is, he's a world-class player. Put him in a tank and let him shoot you. He will take you down really quickly because he is that good. He was so key in this victory because he allowed not only get the spots, but to take down that S-Tank that was doing, up to that point, a fair amount of damage. And Mr. Man is very dangerous in it. Now another S-Tank came into the fore. Now Pompous came up on the train line, and he was rocking back and forth and getting shots off. In the end, he was another key part of what the victory the Top Tier had. And it was such a back and forth level of play. For me, that key point, the 2 key points was when Aquatic M60s rushed those hidden bat chats, got them dropped, took those guns out of the play, and losing autoloaders that quickly, that left him with just 1 autoloader left. I mean, that's potentially the match right there, depending on how you manage it. Also, really good play by Oghaku in that IS-7 to keep possession of the split by the base. You know, the little ridge hill in the middle, Tim. Just immense play by him, the whole team. This was Top Tier playing very, very well. Now, afterwards, Rude was saying, oh, we made mistakes. They might have made mistakes, but that was the best Aquatic M60s could bring. And even with those mistakes, I was really impressed with how Top Tier adapted. So Top Tier now goes on to the playoffs to take on Elevate in the first round. I've still got goosebumps, Tim. This was one of the best matches I've seen all season long, and it should be for the playoffs. It should be by teams this good. They should push themselves as hard as they did and deliver these level of matches because they deserve to. They worked hard enough to. And guys, both teams, I can't stand right now, but I'll give you a sitting ovation. The level of play was there, and it was just it was. In my article, I just dumped the whole match because you should watch the whole entire set of matches from the first one to the last one to 9. It's worth your time. It's I really enjoyed it. Thanks for Aquatic M60s. Another classy team. We hope to see you back.
Oh, I'd love to see.
I
I'd
think they
love
do
to
stay.
see them back.
Unfortunately, they did play a 5-6 place match, and they managed to defeat 07. So they're in 5th place. So I'm pretty sure they're locked in for their position for next Gold League season. And we've been seeing steady progression from Aquatic. So I think we'll see more this coming
Hopefully.
season. We'll see how the meta develops because we had a sudden meta shift. What, about 60% of the season,
Yep.
Tim? When we suddenly got the wonderful world of Mouse.
Like,
and Type 5 heavies.
okay, how's this going to change things? Type 5 heavies, mouses everywhere.
Yeah, but from a fantasy perspective, it was awesome if you were behind on points, because suddenly you were getting more points than normal because of damage being dealt. On a whole, this has been a good season. There's been ups and downs, but there's a fair amount of drama. We had early in the season, Dare Rising sponsoring Deja Vu, which is huge and a very strong statement for the future of the league. Wouldn't you say, Tim?
The fact that more of these teams are getting sponsored by Elevate, by Dare Rising, there's some other teams that are waiting to be sponsored that can't talk about right now. Great, but yeah.
There are sponsors sniffing about. Tim and I have heard from both sides of it because I know some teams that are out there. As I mentioned in the past, I was social media for the last iteration of Team Elevate. And I'll just say this: Elevate's move to sponsor Apex was sort of a no-brainer. Because if you could sponsor any team in the league, who would you sponsor but the best one, possibly one of the most dominant ones since the era of Fulcrum, going back to season 1 and 2? Because I've been around a while. I've been around since season 3, and I've talked with guys who've been around before, and I've never seen a team this dominant. I've seen teams that were supposed to be this dominant, but normally there'd be a glitch. There'd be a player that didn't fit in. There'd be an issue in the finals. There'd be some struggle that would keep a team from living up to that potential of you're as good as Fulcrum. No one was. This team isn't just playing to win the WGLNA finals. I think Elevate's playing for the legacy of Fulcrum. And for in the future, when we talk about teams, we say Elevate was the greatest team ever, and Fulcrum was they want to surpass what Fulcrum did. Now that's a big ask. Fulcrum got 3rd in the grand finals. It wasn't called the grand finals, but it was equivalent of it. I would love to see Elevate do that, but they have to get through top tier first. And if any strategist captain could find a way to beat them, I'd put my money on Rude.
Oh yeah,
because that guy.
Oh, you know it.
He doesn't have a bag of tricks. He comes with a dump truck full of them, and he hits you with a dump truck if needed. I mean, he's in a level. I was asked to give an example of what I mean by his level of strats. If you go back to last grand final, they were playing one of the European teams. I think NSS. I could be wrong. It might have been one of the CIS teams as well. On Roomberg, he pulled a bait that I've never ever seen before.
I remember that.
In the process, he literally all the Russian tanks rolled around and charged him. In the process of charging him, they left 2 isolated. And the minute they began to move, Simp moved around and eliminated those 2. So now they have the back door.
I remember thinking, what in the world is he doing? And then as soon as they move,
even the casters didn't see, because the casters called it dumb because they weren't familiar with Rude. They said, "What are they doing?" And then suddenly you had 2 of the opposition team go down. Rude stayed around. He kept baiting their shots, and they couldn't quite penetrate. It's a little deflate area right off of the Delta Village Road that goes down the center road. I think the 8 road. There's and it's north of the road. It's small. It's not a lot of space to play with, but Rude was playing with that like a violin. They rushed their tanks in. The minute they rushed in and committed, Simp brought up tanks on the center side of the hill, normally suicide, to take these shots because you have the right side of the Delta Village to deal with, right? The same time those tanks came up to shoot the ones that were coming out almost one at a time from the red team, they pushed down that line, the 9-0 line. It was coordinated. It was perfectly played. It was just one of those things at the end of it, you're going, they did what? And how, what, when, where? And the casters were just stunned. They literally had to go back and watch again and again to realize that Rude had set them up. That's Rude at his best.
Yeah.
That's Rude Awakening being a fantastic caller. Now we have some other great ones in the league. Wally is a fantastic one. You have Germ, who's been helping out with the strats, as I understand it. I'll confirm that when for Burbank and everything at the finals. But we need to look at how well teams prepare, and if any team could possibly find a string to pull in weaknesses, it's going to be Rude will go all in. He won't hesitate. He'll put the whole hammer down because he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Everyone expects Elevate to win. And I think right now, as we're roughly 30 days out from the final, 28, I think.
20,
we're
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna learn more as we get closer, and we're gonna do a playoff preview as well. We'll let you know when that drops. Check us on Twitter, and then the second match. This one is the one that everyone finds most intriguing, and that's Dare Rising event versus Eclipse. Now, let me take you back, Tim, to last season's final. Who got third place in the WGLNA final in October? Yes, which means on the global point scale, if they beat Eclipse to play Elevate in the final, because the second season is weighted more, they go on to the grand final. Now, if Eclipse wins, then they go on to the grand final. Now, this all gets thrown out the window if top tier wins.
Don't you just love when that happens?
Yes, because if top tier somehow manages to beat Elevate, and it is not likely. As much as I think Rude Awakening has my utmost respect as a caller, as a player. I love the way that he runs the team. I love the team, Pompous, all the rest of the guys who are young. He's developed this really sharp team, sort of in a Herb Brooks sort of way. If any of you is old enough to remember Miracle on Ice, he's really developed a younger team. All right, when we're talking specifically about Dare versus Eclipse, Tim, who would you pick if you looked at the season as a whole to win this match? The whole season.
I have to go with Eclipse.
Okay.
Again, I'm probably speaking with my heart, not my head.
No, we want your gut reaction here, Tim.
Eclipse has championship experience. They've come out on top time and time again. They had lost to Dare. Forget which day it was, but they did. So
5-4. They did lose to Dare. They lost 5-4 to Dare, and they've also lost 5-1 at. They lost 5-1 to Dare. They lost 5-4 to top tier. And we're looking at the thing that strikes me, and I'm looking forward to talking with these guys because I'll get a better idea of once I can actually talk to them at the finals. Because first off, if you have a chance to go to Burbank, Tim, can you find that link? Hold on, I'll send it to you real quick to get people if they want to get tickets. Hold on, I'm gonna send Tim the link so he can post it for you guys. Because if you can go. It is there. You go, Tim. Being in a live finals, you get goosebumps. You can feel the energy in the room. You can feel the desperation. You can feel the excitement. You can feel everything when you're there. This will be my 5th finals I'm going to. Tim's got to go to a finals party, and even that, Tim, you described that with that same level of energy and intensity, right?
Fun.
Go if you can. Did you feel it? Did you get the goosebumps?
Oh yeah,
we
got goosebumps. That was quite the match.
It was a HyperX party, I believe.
It was a HyperX party, and yeah, we were hyper.
But it was such an amazing. Going to a finals is awesome. There's going to be some stuff given away, which is always nice. Don't get me wrong. I like swag as much as the next guy, and Tim loves swag. If you have any extra swag, send it to Tim, because he would be more than happy to take it. Look at the flag behind him. He won that, but Tim's you're a pretty big swag fan, wouldn't you say, Tim?
Especially if I can't go, which
yes.
unfortunately might look like happens this time.
Yeah. We'll have to delay our finally getting to meet face to face down the line, but no one's quite Trav's monkey level of swag hungry, but that's kind of healthy, I think. No one should be that swag heavy.
I don't wear that many hats.
No, but you should come out to the finals. It'll be a lot of fun. I encourage you to come if you can. I'll be there. I'd love to talk to you guys, answer any questions you have. Questions I answered last year is, what are you doing here? Why did they choose you? I answered a lot of questions, but it was also a chance to get to know players because we're talking about them. We're trying to promote them, but we're sometimes not as on board with their themes and ideas because we see things the way we
Right.
see them. Tim and I were just talking about opinions beforehand, and they're vital. Now, we're a community show. We try to reflect your opinions and your thoughts. If you have questions you want me to ask, put them down below.
Besides the where's Tim?
That's what I always say. I've been asked that one since since the Vegas final by Toma asked me that one. Where's Tim? And I was like, that being said, that was the one I think Tim wanted to go to the most, though.
Probably.
Yeah, but all that said, guys, we have Eclipse at the beginning of the season. I think would be the favorite. However, things have changed.
This is true.
They no longer have Vetro. Vetro was a strong fit. Since then, they've lost Exo, who was vital to that team, and that hurt them. Their consistency has not been there. I've heard arguments the only reason that they had to go 5-4 or lost 5-4 to top tier was because they didn't have Vetro and they didn't have Exo. So what's going to happen in the finals? Ledov came in from 07, and he's been helping out, but he hasn't been the same. He hasn't been able to pull off what Vetro has. On the other hand, Tigers has stepped up his game. Tigers is calling again, and he's doing a great job of it. As far as I know, he's the one calling for it. They've stopped a mutual calling thing, and Drock has been playing his bagoozles off. He's been a great ad, but they don't quite have that same Veritas, that same gravitas that they did earlier in the season, where you just expected them to beat teams that weren't in the top 3 or 4. Early in the season, you expected them to struggle against Aquatic M60s and Elevate, back then Apex. Now, you expect them to struggle against 07 gave them a good run for their money. And 07 is a 6th place team. So it's not just the top 3 teams now. It's everybody feels confident against going against them. I'll harken back to Las Vegas finals. No one was scared of high voltage Cabalers anymore.
Yeah.
When we went to the finals. They had started to the seams had started to unravel and teams took them on. You had HWC play Simp. On paper, HWC was the favorite. In reality, it was Simp, and you could feel it. And then you had Noble taking on Eclipse. And Eclipse had this, they called them the Boy Scouts for the reason. They were all incredibly young. They had to get permission from their parents to come out there. I can't imagine all the work you'd have to
school.
Yeah, they did. Sometimes fight their school board, see master pupil for that. But the pressure level is going to be immense on Eclipse this season because most fans still see the same team from the beginning of the season because they love the team. There's I believe Crafter's another really big fan of Eclipse, if I'm not mistaken, Tim.
Yes.
And they go with their gut with the team that they have faith in. Now, Dare Rising, on the other hand, they're coming a bit more ascendant right now. People expected them to do well, but everyone at the beginning of the season, and I'll raise my hand to this, I think Tim will too, we picked them as a 5th, 6th place team, right? 5th and 6th?
Maybe at the most towards the end of the season, 3rd, like they were last season. But yeah, didn't expect them to be that far up.
Because they didn't quote unquote add anyone to the team. It's essentially the same team where everyone was making changes. And then they just kept playing and playing, and they improved. They got their sponsorship, and then they had a couple off matches. But what was impressive to me is they found their feet, and they won when they needed to. This is a team that I think is capable of defeating Eclipse. I'm going to go with top tier. I'm sorry, not top tier. I'm going with Dare Rising to beat Eclipse. This is my thoughts because of this. This isn't the same Eclipse as earlier in the season. They're going to be practicing. But will they really have that synergy up to speed as well as they did previously when EXO and Vetro were starting? Because now there's 5 guys. They're spending a lot more time with people on the bench, which gives them a strong bench player to pull off if needed.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean this is a positive. I'm willing to bet people's going to be as ready as humanly possible if they need it.
Oh, yeah. 9 people, he's ready.
He's antsy to play, yeah. And he hasn't been played yet, and that might be Tigers holding him going, wait, here you go. I mean, it really might be just and I know Tigers and I know T1 are only going to put out the best team they possibly can. And if Master isn't in that view right now, it's for a reason, a very specific reason.
Might be the secret weapon pull out in the middle of the finals.
Could be, because it would throw Dare.
Oh.
Suddenly out. Well, think of it that way. You have to think of because we're going to get into deeper psychological strategies as we get closer to it. We already saw some interesting metas played by. If you know what happened last season, Aggressor went from being on Simple Tankers to jumping over to Deja Vu, which beat Simple Tankers to make it to the Final Four. For the face-off for the playoffs, Meadow did like a 4-minute eulogy to J Smooth, the Simple Tankers. So possibly poking Aggressor a little bit. Who knows? But Tim, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, go. So there could be a psychological vibe going on as well, and it's going to be more and more prevalent when we get there. At last season's final, Germ, I believe, was wearing a T-shirt of Master Pupil's Instagram of him. What'd you say? Posing, Tim,
in the mirror. In the mirror, yeah.
Yes, and his mom thought Master People's mom thought it was hysterical, and on Facebook said that's my boy. So it was pretty funny, but they'll poke each other like that in a friendly way, but possibly to see exactly how mentally you're doing at that moment. When we look at the teams, I really think Dare is in a good place. I know Change and Chase are probably a little nervous going to finals. They have a brand new sponsor, but they're there. They're this close. They need to win one match to make it to the grand finals. One. And yes, they have to beat Eclipse, but they've beaten them before. Eclipse has to beat, so what's going to happen? That's why I'm going to go with Dare by this much. A 51% pick to 49. I think, Tim, you're probably, 55% for Eclipse to beat them? Or
55, maybe
Okay.
60. That's about
Yeah.
as much as I'll give Eclipse.
Yeah.
My
belief is whoever makes... Go ahead,
because
sorry.
because there, yeah.
Yeah, Dare is an incredibly dangerous team. And also, guys, if it ever ends up with one bat chat ranging around the team for Dare, and it happens to be driven by Milo Putin, and there's less than 3
You're
tanks
done.
on either side, bet on Milo Putin. He's been very dangerous this season. Same goes for Pompous. That guy just seems to run wild. But I still think this is Elevate's playoff. The only team that can beat Elevate right now, I think, is Elevate. That's my belief. It's simple, clear. I see this as a formality and a race for second. With all due respect to the other 3 teams, could they beat Elevate? Yes.
And they
But
have
would
taken
need-
matches against them. All of them have.
Yeah, but Tim, let's be realistic. There were 70 matches of wins, and they only lost 11 in the whole season.
Buddy.
So out of 81 matches, it comes out to something like 88 point some odd percent or 86 point some odd percent win rate. Now that might be sound. Oh, they're not that dangerous. No. There was one team that took them to overtime, and that was Eclipse. The guy who starred in that Eclipse match now plays for Elevate because Vetro was the one playing. Yeah, and that changes the whole dynamic of it because they can't depend on that guy in that organic feel when you play for the teams. But we'll get more involved into this as we get to the finals. Tim, have you heard anything about fantasy for the finals yet?
I have not.
Me neither. Keep an ear out, folks, because I think there will be. By the way, I got 26th place overall, my best placement so far on the fantasy for the playoffs, primarily because I took Pompous, who scored 5,000 fantasy 500 points fantasy points.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
So I get fries from you to go with this steak sandwich that I have to buy
Chili
for him.
cheese fries,
So I'm
man. I want supper now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some expensive ones. Yeah, but regardless
Expensive
of
ones.
Oh yeah, no, just kidding. Yeah, he's making a big bucks for Wargaming. He's gonna laugh at me on that. But more importantly, we cannot thank you guys so much for staying with us, for staying with the WGLNA. Don't forget, once the North American finals are done, we have the grand finals coming up. And the grand finals are for the whole global enchilada, guys. We see the best teams from all over the world. The level of play comes up. The team that I think we have a best chance of would be Elevate. But I've also been watching a fair amount of APAC, and whoever comes in second, I think could beat L Gaming, who's at the top of the heap there. L Gaming is a fantastic team. They play by rote a lot of times, and they struggle against teams that are changing on the fly. Look at all 3 of these teams.
Elevate.
And what are they
Dare.
specialize in?
Eclipse.
No, take the Elevate out. Say
Yeah.
that all along L Gaming has to play is Dare top tier or
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
You're done.
What do those 3 teams do on the fly better than amazingly well?
Rotate,
Change.
Swap in players.
Throw
that
in
you've
a
never seen
TD.
before, yeah.
Yep. And some teams more than other. I think Darren top tier more than Eclipse, but I've seen positions taken by Drock. I'll go back to him again. And Tigers, they're kind of odd, and by odd I mean not in normal meta of play, and they're like it's almost like Rude when he dangles bait out, except not quite as crazy as Rude. Um, but we're gonna it. I have a good feeling. My prediction for grand final, however many months out that is from now, is that we will finish. Both of our teams will finish above APAC teams. That's not a knock on APAC. It's just where I think the teams are right now. And I love Team Efficiency, who currently in the second place. It's the best they've ever done. But I think that there's still a bit of difference between them. I think we're closing the gap on Europe, and I think elevates the team to really give us the best shot. And to quote their sponsor, talking with, I got a chance to do a profile for them over on the dailybounce.net of Elevate, or what they, the whole sponsor said. Their head of team relations made the comment that their goal isn't just to make it to the grand finals. Their goal is to be competitive and to aggressively take on, if not defeat, CIS region. That's a hell of a gauntlet to throw down, but that shows the ambition that this esports team has and the level of support they're probably going to throw into comps and the whole rest of that squad. And really, guys, if you want to get previews, go back and watch match days, go back and check out fun matches, look for the close ones, go back and watch that final match that I told you in playoffs, because it's worth it, and it'll educate yourself and get yourself ready for what's going to be a pretty exciting WGLNA final, and I think it's going to be a really interesting grand final.
For sure. Can't wait. As long as I'm not in the hospital bed like last time.
Oh, God. No, Tim. No. Okay. I don't normally talk to Tim like he's a puppy, but no hospital, please, because we were all worried about him, and he didn't enjoy the finals as much as he would have otherwise. But all that being said, Tim, can you wrap up our last regular and first postseason show for us?
Thank you guys for being here. We wouldn't be here without you guys. And as always, in the words of great Christian Domo, besides, where's Tim? Thanks for stopping by.